Well, math is one of those things that we have to start somewhere, so why don't we start at the beginning? And basically mathematics has 4 operations. You can either add, subtract, multiply, or divide. I don't know of any other operation you can do in math because everything you'll do will be based on one of those 4 operations. So addition is the one most people are familiar with. We go 2 plus 2 equals 4. Very easy, addition. So what do we have 4? But what do we call the 4? It has a name. It is called the sum. And addition, very simple. You just add the numbers up and you get a sum, okay? Well, we have another one called subtraction. And that's where we take 4 minus 3 equals 1. So we're taking something away in subtraction rather than adding like we did in addition. And the answer to that particular problem is called a difference, okay? So the 2 basic operations most people are familiar with are adding and subtracting. However, we have 2 other ones. And these are one that looks like this. And that's multiplication. And multiplication is, in some sense, an addition of groups. We're taking 3 groups of 3 and we get 9. We have a name for the solution to that particular problem, and that is called the product. We have one other major operation, and that is one that looks like this. That is division. And this is we're breaking something into pieces. So we take 4 goes into 8, and we get 2 as the answer for this one. And what we have to do is say we have a name for this, and it is called the quotient. Okay, so we have the 4 basic operations: add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Each has a name, and you'll find in the literature they often refer to what is the product or what is the quotient. So you need to be familiar with those terms. All right? So those are not something that will pose any difficulty for you, or they shouldn't. But there is something else to be aware of, that these 2 are called inverse operations. In other words, you can solve one by doing the other. When you're subtracting, you have 4 minus 3, I get 1. If you take and add these 2, and adding being the inverse operation of subtraction, what do you get? You get 4 when you add these 2. So you get back to where you began. With addition, you'll do the same thing because you can subtract one from the other. If I get 5 plus 2, that gives me 7, but if I take 5 from 7, I get 2, and if I take 2 from 7, I get 5. So we have the inverse operation. So you can see there's a connection there. They don't stand off by themselves. The same thing occurs between multiplication and division. They are called inverse operations. When you sum something like this, say 3 times 8 equals 24. I can take 8 divides into 24 3 times, 3 divides into 24 8 times. So we have an inverse operation. If you have 10 divided by 2 equals 5, if I take 2 times 5, I get 10. So I'm using the inverse operation, multiplication, to solve a division problem or to check it. So they all are associated together, not sitting there by themselves, and oftentimes it will give you a way of solving a problem by going and doing the inverse operation to see if you got the correct answer.